Hi, my name's Neil Pattermore of Motor Industry Consultants Limited, and I'd like to talk to you today about actually both a topical and actually also a misunderstood subject, linked but not necessarily the same thing, block exemption and moving now into Euro 5. If we take block exemption at the start of this process, it's been around for some time now, it's being reviewed again this year, but it was brought in particularly for the vehicle manufacturers and their dealer networks to allow them to have on block exemption from normal competition rules and allow the investment in that franchise dealer location and the way that the customer's product was PDI'd, delivered to the customer and so on, to be protected. And that worked pretty well, but of course it really geared things towards the main dealers and to protect the independents, but most importantly and critically to allow consumers a choice of where and when their cars were being serviced and repaired. In the block exemption regulations, the European Commission allowed for the very simple technical support, technical tools, some of the repair methods and so on to become available to the aftermarket to ensure that independent garages could continue to repair with access to spare parts and so on those vehicles across a wide range of the vehicle manufacturers. So this block exemption has worked fairly well. It was due for review in 2010, and although during its history over the last few years there have been times when some of the aftermarket organisations, especially in Europe, have legally challenged some of the vehicle manufacturers to make sure that the obligations of supplying technical information, support, training and so on were actually available. Generally, it's worked okay. However, it's not a perfect system. It was due to be ended at the end of 2010, and at first the outcome was likely to be that block exemption ended, all the controls, including the aftermarket support, technical information, tools and training and so on, would be thrown out a bit like the baby with the bathwater syndrome. So people like the Right to Repair campaign have fought very hard with many other organisations in the aftermarket here in the UK and indeed across Europe, and have lobbied on behalf of independent repair workshops to make sure that what was enshrined in that block exemption regulation will continue. So what's happened now is that block exemption will continue until 2013, which is good news. If we move on to Euro 5, that's not just pertinent, but is also, in terms of timescale, already happening. It started on March the 1st, 2010, and refers to vehicles being introduced into the marketplace as a new model introduction from September 2009. So this system's already up and running. What's fundamentally different, it is not a replacement for block exemption. It is about exhaust emission controls on the surface, but enshrined within it are bumper-to-bumper regulations about the vehicle manufacturer's obligations to release all of the technical details, which is the repair tools, the technical training, the spare parts references, everything necessary to repair that car, but it only applies to new vehicles coming into the market since September 2009. So, as an integral part of Euro 5, it allows, and this is a critical point, it allows the independent garages as well as other main dealers, not necessarily selling that particular vehicle manufacturer's product, to access via the internet all of the sort of information you need to download, reconfigure, reprogram or even reflash a vehicle ECU. And this is being done through what's known as a pass-through vehicle communication interface, a pass-through VCI. This connects between the vehicle, the standard 16-pin cable, through this VCI, through in turn a PC and then onto the internet. And as a bona fide dealer, the VAT registration number, maybe ATA or NVQ, City and Guilds qualified technicians, you'll be able to log on to that vehicle manufacturer's site, and download information to allow full repair of that vehicle. And that whole repair process, diagnosis, technical information, the software configuration or systems which are dependent upon PIN and reconfiguration being supplied by the manufacturer. So if we look at the critical aspects of Euro 5, they could probably be summarised in 5 critical points. So first and foremost, there is a standard for this VCI called the J2534 protocol. And that's not fixed because software changes, so it's an evolving protocol. But that allows you to connect the vehicle through this VCI, through the PC, to the internet. And from the newer cars, as I said earlier, coming into the market from September 2009, but now this kicks off March 2010. What we'll find is that increasingly garages, both independent garages and other main dealers, will be able to start to access and through the pass-through connector system, download, reconfigure, diagnose, repair and so on the newer cars. What it will also mean is that garages are likely to have to be seen and proven to be competent, established vehicle repair businesses, and that really takes out of the marketplace the cowboys, the people that put 2 car wheels up on the curb and use the space underneath as their vehicle lift, or indeed in this case the vehicle owner. The vehicle manufacturers, the European Commission and of course the aftermarket don't want to encourage the cowboy element or indeed the vehicle owner to try and start downloading and repairing sophisticated vehicles. So the third point is really it starts to bring the independent aftermarket and the vehicle manufacturers much closer together because it's a much more level playing field and provides a lot of opportunity for the independent market. Whereas before some of the new vehicles were never really a possibility in the workshop until they were 2 or 3 years old, reverse engineering for diagnostic tools, issues about retention and warranty and so on in main dealers. That's now much more of an open marketplace. The other thing I think that will happen with Euro 5 is probably more about the price, because what will, I think, happen is that the independent and smaller dealer networks will become much closer, and much closer in a number of ways. More specialised, because the risk of trying to repair a new car, unlikely to have much experience of the sorts of problems that these new cars would have, the risk of getting it wrong, the risk of taking too long to do it, or the risk of just having to pay on the internet means that you won't necessarily want to work on every car that comes through the door. So it's possible you should look at starting to be more specialised because that reduces the risk and maintains or sustains profitability. And to some extent the same parallel will exist in main dealers for the same reasons. And ultimately what this will bring into the general marketplace is that drivers will be able to use independents as well as main dealers. It's likely that independents will be able to raise their prices because actually to be competitive with a main dealer, increasing customer service standards, increasing investment in technology and training, increasing all the expectations, if you like, of that customer package that a main dealer offers has to be available also from the independent. But the summary of all of this is block exemption is coming to its end. That will change the way that vehicles are sold, but with Euro 5, quite separate legislation, it will open up some fantastic opportunities for the independents. It will start this year. It will gradually, as an evolution rather than a revolution, impact on your business. And those who are forward thinking will start gearing up now to make sure that they are not just competitive technically, but will be able to be competitive in the customer's aspects or expectations against main dealers, and it's a much more level playing field with lots of opportunity for the aftermarkets.